Welcome in everyone to Unite Battle Hub Elite Tour. I'm Caleb Payne, joined by Kelosaurus, and this is, I believe, our third tournament of the Elite Tour. For those that don't know, this is a tournament where the winners of the tournament will qualify for the finals, essentially, at the end of the month for a $500 cash prize. So a lot on the line to play for and qualify, and we had an exciting series of battles last week for NA, and I believe there was another European Elite Tour that also occurred last week. So, but yeah, welcome, Kello. We're on the recent patch, and there's been a few updates. Some of them I think will probably impact some of the picks we see today.
Yes, very early days in terms of the patch. So I guess still in that testing phase to see what's still viable and what might not be. But looks like we have a Blastoise, a Trevenant ban on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos, and we have a Leafeon and a Zeraora ban on Felinksguard. Zeraora ban is a very interesting pick, wouldn't you say, Caleb?
Well, so yes, typically, but the thing is, there is a Zeraora Pro on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos, and if you, for anyone that tuned in last week, they almost beats Luminosity actually in the finals. So they went all the way to game 3, and that Zeraora looked pretty unstoppable. So definitely a respect ban, if you could call it that. But we got the first pick of a Hoopa, and then followed by Slowbro and Espeon. Meanwhile, we have Eldegoss, Crustle, who did get a slight change in the patch, as well as potentially 2 starter picks for Felinksguard.
Yes, both Espeon and Eldegoss did receive some nerfs there. However, I'm interested to see whether this will end up being a Trick Hooper or that trusty Hyperspace Hole Hooper, considering Trick received a buff. But over on the side of Felinksguard, we do have a Goodra being picked up along with a Venusaur as well. Considering they do have that Slick Spoon and Energy Amp, I'd say they're probably going to be running a Venusaur unless it does end up getting switched on over to another player. But the last 2 picks for Flamin' Hot Depressos right now is Pikachu and Glaceon.
Yeah, interesting picks for sure. Very strong front line for the side of Felinksguard, especially in that Goodra and that Crustle. I assume we're going to have a lot of poke damage with potentially a Solar Beam Venusaur, and of course the Decidueye in the back. So it's going to be an interesting back and forth game. Flamin' Hot Depressos were running some very interesting picks last week. They came in second place in our previous North America Elite Tour tournament, and they ran a lot of Cinderace too. Cinderace and Zeraora, so no Cinderace this time around. Running maybe a more standard team composition. Maybe try and play safe in these first set of games.
Yes, I don't know about Cinderace in the competitive scene. You don't see it very often, and there might be a reason for that, Caleb.
Oh, they were cooking with the Cinderace. That was the thing. I was like, wait, I thought Cinderace has no play competitively.
No,
not even in solo queue, because I failed quite a bit with it, but no, they were killing it with it. So we're gonna see if they could run the meta teams just as well as the spicier teams. But it's going to be a best of 3 and single elimination bracket. So no mistakes. Well, I guess you could lose 1 game, but outside of that, you can't really drop a series, not W lim or Swiss rounds or anything like that.
No, there's, yeah, as you mentioned, a best of 1, so there isn't any second chances here today. But the team that the next one, we have, how many teams did we have end up coming in today for our brackets? So the next one will end up going up against Exile up in the finals. So here we go, Caleb. Flamin' Hot Depressos over on the purple side, Felinksguard over on the orange side for the first round or semi-finals of the Elite Tour for the NA region.
Yeah, we actually have the Pikachu going up on the top side here, Elo Poppy doing that. And I remember them playing a similar strategy last week too. Essentially really just was slowing down a lot of these top laners from stacking and just getting a lot of scores off. Just Pikachu being kind of a huge nuisance in that regard. I mean, add in a Hoopa on top of it, and it could be kind of annoying for this Gumi. But we'll see how that goes as this top lane kind of develops. We see Decidueye obviously in the jungle and Glaceon making its way up topside already.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. These two Pokemon do shred quite quickly there. Already having that Glaceon online is always huge, especially, at that level 4. Dartrix still needs to get one evolution to hit that Decidueye phase. Otherwise, Dartrix, it isn't too bad, but we'll see how that ends up progressing up in that top path as we wait for those birds to spawn.
And we see Gumi, unfortunately not evolved yet. Eldegoss does get evolved up, but Glaceon going to be pretty strong here. Oh, the Hoopa actually going down before being able to go through the hyperspace hole. So a pretty nice exchange for Failing Scarred so far. Maybe didn't get as many of the birds, but getting the first knockout is pretty big.
Yes, that's always huge, getting that first knockout. That is just going to slow down the opposite team just a little bit. But we do have a Slowbro going into that tall grass. Does end up getting caught out by that Crustle and Dartrix and is getting chased away. But no, it wants to surf back in, try and, get some damage before it heads back home through that hyperspace hole.
Yeah, the Rock Tomb almost blocking off the entrance to the hyperspace hole, but Slowbro gets out of there, resets, comes back in for another fight right as these birds are spawning. Definitely want to contest this. Glaceon just shredding through this. Slowbro trying to secure some of it. I think Sliggoo got at least one of them. I saw a level up right there, so maybe not too bad, but Sliggoo just running for its life right now. Same with the Eldegoss. The aggression from Flamin' Hot Depressals is here, and they're just aggressively pushing onto this tier 1 gold zone right now. 4 members already on this top side.
Yeah, they're looking for a huge push here, but you can see Crustle on the minimap making their way up. But are they going to be able to make it up in time? Slowbro does end up falling along with the Pikachu as well. Crustle has come in from the backline, but Glaceon ends up locking its target. Not able to get a lot of damage from their Icicle Shards there.
And it looks like Glaceon left by themselves at this point too. So they're going to have to concede a lot of these bursts and give a lot of this experience to the side of Failing Scarred. We see Sliggoo doing its best to kind of get some points here, get some lows. A little caught out here, unfortunately. Just cannot get... I'm not really sure what the plan was there because they had 30 points, so it was going to be hard to cap that anyway. Maybe just dipping their toes in the water, but just does not get out of the deep end after that. Meanwhile, you see Flamin' Hot Depressors pushing Agenda here, trying to get some points, and meanwhile, you see the Venusaur just soloing this Registeel on the bottom lane.
Yeah, it is an absolute brawl up in the top path. Pikachu is on the run, ends up getting sniped on down, and that is going to be the end of it. Otherwise, Knock Knock does end up coming down out as well, taking down the Glaceon. You only have Espeon up here, while Slowbro is looking to go and take that red buff from the orange side. But Venusaur soloing that Registeel is massive for Falling Scarred here, which means they do have enough shred here to take the Regieleki for themselves. Espeon left alone ends up getting chipped away half HP there.
And I really love how Failing Scar just able to secure a lot of these knockouts right before certain Pokemon are able to go through this hyperspace hole. I feel like I've seen that happen at least 2 or 3 times already. So really great awareness on just bursting down the enemy when they're about to just go back to safety. And here we go. Glaceon kind of called out. Slowbro as well, just pinch off in the middle. And Burden Anger comes through from the Venusaur. Slowbro's going to get out there just fine. We can see the poke damage from the Venusaur and Decidueye really starting to add up.
Yeah, the poke damage is absolutely insane. And considering that Flamin' Hot Depressos do have 3 attackers on their side, they are quite squishy. Hoopa also as a supporter is quite squishy. Yes, they do have those hyperspace holes, but if you end up getting KO'd before they're making it into the portals, well, there's not a lot you can do. Crustle is going to dunk in 5 through the spacing from the Knock Knock. We do have Pikachu getting taken down once again. Otherwise, the Wobble Rouser is going to pop on out just to provide some shields and attack for this Crustle.
Yeah, this Failing Scar definitely on the offensive here. Goodra is finally evolved as well. Psychic Solar able to interrupt and catching 3 on the side of Failing Scar, and now Crustle goes down. Huge defense here, especially from this Espeon on Kumba, and then you can see continue to try to take down this Goodra. Goodra is not going to go down easy, forcing the Hoopa unbound form, but Goodra just in their face. Unfortunately, I don't think... Yeah, I can't really take him out 1v5 there, but is going to take down the Glaceon with the help of the Venusaur. to see. Oh, Verdant Air comes out yet again, and there goes 3 for the Venusaur, knocking out 4, actually. I don't know if they're going to get the Pensa. Hoopa's going to try and make that happen, potentially, but they're going to try to secure this Regice first.
Oh, tried to dive on in with the Phantom Force, but unfortunately it was just a little bit too late. A very risky move, but I guess Hooper didn't really have very much to give. So it's not too much of a loss there. Otherwise, we do have Failing Scud cleaning on up all of those wild Pokemon, and now they're going to go and head back to their respective areas, clean up all those yellow dots before heading for the next objective, which would be the Reggie. So be interesting to see what Flaming Hot Depresso's play is here, whether they're going to actually go and contest it, or whether they're going to try and go the opposite end and go for a bottom tier 1 push.
Flaming Hot Depresso is definitely playing a little bit from behind here, right? Down in points, down in levels, down every objective so far. I think part of it is they might just be here just to at least contest this so that it doesn't, get held too long right before Rayquaza spawns. I don't think they're actually going to try to contest the Regieleki. I like this play from them, actually taking out the Crust on the bot side and then now scoring some points to get a little points on the board before maybe making a defense here. Unless Hooper's just going to try to solo this, but I don't think so, yeah. And so the defense is going to start coming through as they stall out the Regieleki from going any further. I think Phoenix Guard content on just going back and farming.
I think that was a really great play from Flamin' Hot Depressos there to be aware, not to contest that Regieleki, not having the manpower there. The points gap has grown closer, 135 to 178. So it's not over just yet for Flamin' Hot Depressos, besides the rocky beginning.
That's right. I mean, the points are a lot closer, and the levels are pretty much even. I mean, as I say that, the Decidueye and Venusaur tick into level 14, so maybe a little bit more of an uphill battle in terms of the level disadvantage, but I think, it's close enough that this necessarily won't be a blowout fight at Rayquaza. There's still a lot of opportunities for Flaming Hot Depressor to make something out of it, but they are getting pushed out of the Rayquaza pit under 10 seconds before Rayquaza spawns, so this positioning is looking quite good for Phalanx Guard, but Crusto getting caught out a little bit. And now you see Venusaur hit with the slow beam and the telekinesis. Venusaur actually going down already. Huge pickoff there from the Pikachu and Slowbro combination. Crusto goes down as well. Things are starting to look decent, but 2 down on the side of Flaming Hot Depressos too. So 3-on-3 right now.
You do have Hooper going and popping their Rings Unbound to just try and sustain against this Goodra, but it does end up popping their Unite move, giving themselves some healing here. It seems like it's impossible to take down for a lone Pikachu, who also ends up getting taken down as 3 end up surrounding them. Goodra ends up getting a hundo, now leading at 278 to 135. Flamin' Hot Depressos, there's not a lot of time on the clock. They need to make a move, but with Pikachu still down and this Goodra that they need to deal with, I don't know. It's looking a little bit grim right now.
Yeah, I mean, between the Shackle Shot and the Solar Beam just coming through, and it just, the Rock Team's just trapping the Pokemon on the side of Flaming Hot Depressos, it just becomes really hard to even just engage in this pit. And they pretty much lost their main front line, right? Hoopa Unbound cannot be used anytime soon as well. So it's just going to be a hard engage. Meanwhile, you have so much damage just flying in from the Decidueye and Venusaur as well. They don't even need to hit this Rayquaza. They know they're up in points, and they're just going to hold on to defense. Verdant Anger comes through here. A telekinesis going to grab the Crusto, but that's not really a huge issue as well. You can see the damage coming through, though, knocking out the Venusaur and the Crusto as well. They need to get rid of this Goodra. Those Goodras just in their face. Psychic Solar is going to knock up the Decidueye as well, but this Goodra is full health at this point, and we only got 15 seconds. I think Flaming Hot Depressors realizes they just got to score some points now. There's no time to take the Rayquaza.
Look, considering there's only a Goodra up, you do have Espeon being able to get in their 82 points, but is there going to be enough time for that Slowbro to get in that hundo and make up the difference here as the Hooper is distracting the Goodra? I don't know if the points went in.
Wait, yeah, I see the tier 2 pad still up, so I mean, I would have thought that the 100 points would come through. Let's see in the final point calculations, but it looks like I don't think it actually registered. This is going to be pretty close. Oh, we do get the 370, so it's just a photo finish from Flaming Hot Depressos. I didn't even see the points coming through. I don't even know if the points actually came through. Yeah, it looks like the 100 points did come through from that Slowbro at the very end. so close to the finish line that the goal zone was still on the mini map. But yeah, what a finish from Flamin' Hot Depressors. I didn't think they were able to do it because Slowbro was down and they just didn't really have the front line to tank all that damage from that Decidueye and Venusaur, but a few key pickoffs was great, and they just ignored the Gudra. They just said, you know what, we're going to stop trying to take out this Gudra. It's not doing us any favors. That Gudra's going to sustain too much anyway. We're just going to ignore it, take out all the damage, and just go try to score and back up and end up working out.
Yeah, that was an absolute sprint at the end. You can see the poise just shooting on through. They didn't even need that Rayquaza, but knowing they had that numbers advantage, 3 versus 1, being able to get Espeon and Slowbro dunks in right at the end is absolutely insane, considering, you know, it seemed like they were a fair bit behind, but benefit of the final stretch, getting those double points, Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that strategy from Flaming Hot Depressors in the end. They just dove the damage on the side of Phalanx Guard, right? And a lot of that was that Venusaur and that Decidueye poking from afar. Once you take them out, you gotta worry about the Crusto, which is not too much of a concern, and the Gudra, of course. And yeah, really great execution. Really in that last, 30 seconds, Flaming Hot Depressors was pretty much, it was kind of an even fight in that first engage. Rayquaza, just, 3 members still up on both sides. But that second engage is really where Flaming Hot Depressor was able to figure things out. And Gudra can only be in so many places, right? Like you said, there's only one Gudra up. Chose to try to stop the Koopa, but 2 members going on the top side, able to get nearly 200 points in those last few seconds.
But yeah, I was saying it was looking quite grim there for Flamin' Hot Depressors. They just kept on getting picked off by the backline there. The Decidueye sniping. Yeah, Venusaur using that solar beam as well. And considering they were so squishy, they weren't really winning a lot of these team fights. And, that's evident considering Phalanx Guard were able to pick up every single objective. Otherwise, this was a great pick on the Venusaur here. Following up with that Volt Tackle, being able to take it down. But it ended up just going back to that second round. You still had that Espeon Unite move. Pikachu ended up getting it. And this was the fight here where they were able to just get these KOs and pick them off. A huge surf here from the Slowbro. Yeti, for me, I think was the star player. Some great telekinesis picks, but also the surf engages to get those stuns were chef's kiss.
Yeah, that final surf hitting both the Crusto and the Venusaur, pretty much knocking them out as well. I don't know if they're credited for it, but doing a lot of that final damage to really just, disperse the side of Phalanx Guard and gave them the opening. I mean, you said it too, right? Phalanx Guard staying ahead throughout the whole game, getting pretty much all the objectives. They actually got every single objective taken. Yeah. They got both Regielekis on top side and both Regis on bottom side. No Rayquaza for either team. But Flaming Hot Depressor was finding a way to win that game in desperation. If you're Phalanx Guard, you're definitely feeling like that was your game to win. Unfortunately, it did not go that way. But I believe this is a best of 3, so we're going to have to see how they adjust for game number 2. Do we see the Zeraora ban again? That's a real question, because I'm telling you, Kel, if they don't ban it, that Flamin' Hot Depressor Zeraora is something else.
Oh, look, it's bad of me that I do want to see it come out. So we'll wait and see whether they think it's risky enough to ban or whether they think something else is worthy of a ban. I don't know. Glaceon at the moment still seems like quite the shredder, but straight off the bat. You know what? Don't even want to ban that Leafeon first up. It's just Zeraora.
Yeah, the respect right there. I would love to see Cinderace make an appearance yet again for Flaming Hot Depressors. I think they had like 100% win rate with Cinderace last week. They might have only played it 1 game. I'm not sure. Pikachu ban is pretty nice though. Elo Poppy playing a mean Pikachu in a lot of these games too, and just kind of holding it down for a team, and just being a nuisance a lot of times for that top lane as well. So we see the Leafeon and Blastoise ban on the side of Flaming Hot Depressors. Maybe just picking more general bans, whereas Phalanx Guard definitely doing some more target bans to try to, take out some of the expertise from the side of Flaming Hot Depressors.
I just think they have something against Thunder Pokemon. Considering we only have the 3 so far, Zeraora, Pikachu, and Miraidon, but obviously Miraidon being there isn't available to pick up. So just no thunder. No thunder down under here from Australia, I guess.
No, no electric Pokemon at all. We see the Hoopa and the Sylveon picks. First two picks for the side of Flaming Hot Depressed was definitely strong picks for sure. Hoopa was definitely pretty instrumental in a lot of gameplay throughout last game. Trevenant first pick is kind of interesting too. I wouldn't have expected that to be the first pick, but maybe just trying to secure for someone that loves Trevenants.
I do think Trevenant has some really great disruption. So we'll see how that works in favor of the Crustle. I mean, Crustle can still be picked on up here as the last picks, but it looks like Yeti is opting for a Slowbro pick this time round. Snorlax pick instead of a Slowbro pick this time round.
Yeah, Snorlax did get a slight buff with a block too, so that might be one potential option right after this patch. And then we get the Lucario pick as well on the side of Flaming Hot Depressors. I don't think I've seen them play Lucario, at least not in the last week's tournament. Zoroark and Mamoswine being picked up on the side of Failing Scar. So again, kind of using the double defender strategy with Eldegoss, and then this time around we got the Mew and Zoroark. Pretty strong competition, I'd say, overall. Oh, and do we get the Cinderace? We do get the Cinderace. I love to see. I mean, this, I mean, maybe outside of the Hoopa, looks like almost like a Unite Year 1 team, right? The Snorlax, the Defender, the Lucario top lane, the Cinderace jungler, and then, Sylveon was released a little bit later on. But, yeah, reminiscent of old times, too. But I'm telling you, this Cinderace is pretty strong, too. It might not be a Zeraora, but they made Cinderace look pretty good. And I almost picked up Cinderace and played it after last week's tournament, but I just didn't have the chance to. But we'll see if they make it come to fruition or not. I mean, looking at the team too, there's a lot of dive on the side of Failing Scar, but I think with good positioning, it could still work out quite well.
Yeah, it all definitely comes down to that positioning. That Zoroark, as long as it's able to get into that backline, take down that Cinderace, things should work out well. But it doesn't have that pocket Comfey pick, which we actually saw quite a fair bit during UCS for the AOS Cup. So I'm wondering how well this is going to pair up with an Eldegoss by its side. Mamoswine and Trevenant do provide, as we mentioned, a lot of suppression tools. It always makes me so excited to see Mamoswine come out because I feel like we do not see this defender enough.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe the choice to not pick Comfey with the Zoroark is maybe because it doesn't have like a great secondary target to latch onto afterward, right? You got the Mamoswine Trevenant that's not really going to benefit too much because they're just not going to output the same amount of damage as Zoroark, and they have a decent amount of sustain themselves. And then, of course, latching onto the Mew is probably not ideal because if Mew needs the Comfey healing and it's frontline for you, then the Mew's probably a little bit out of position. So maybe that's why they went with the Eldegoss pick. But yeah, definitely the Comfey pick would have been strong with the Zoroark. Either way, Zorua is going to go to our center jungle path, and then of course hit by the Score Bunny as well on the other side. Lucario top lane. We don't see this super often anymore. It used to be a staple for quite some time. It's going to be going against the Phantom on top lane too, with I assume the Eldegoss. And here we see Yeti being kind of a nuisance here, trying to steal some of this farm. Going to try to steal the berries as they spawn too. Yeah, spawning just in time.
Able to get back up to that full HP because of that passive as well. But we still have a Phantom up here. No dunks coming in from Elo Papi, and they are running that attack weight. But with 20 points on hand, that's going to make it very difficult to sneak past them and get some dunks unless they get these. But interestingly enough, we do have both central laners going into that bottom path this time around. Zoroark is going to dive on and slash and dash through 3 members down in that bottom path and go and empty out their AOS energy, stacking up that attack weight, of course.
Yeah, Raboot, not really the best jungler, especially for that first set of birds. And Failing Scar definitely going to take advantage of that situation too. But I didn't expect all 3 members to go down that quickly. Meanwhile, we see Elo Papi still carrying a full pocket of AOS points here. I mean, it's a little bit tough too, especially with the Eldegoss. Eldegoss having that red buff early on as well made it really tough to score any points. So still 0 points on the side of Flaming Hot Depressos. Meanwhile, we see some rotation happening here, but everyone just mostly going back to farming before these middle birds.
I guess that's a downside, having that Cinderace going up against Zoroark in the central areas. You definitely want Cinderace to try and get those levels ASAP, whereas Zoroark's Power Spike is quite quick. A great pollen puff there to just sustain a Zoroark, allow it to run away. Otherwise, Snorlax looks to take down there, as it does end up taking a power nap. Unfortunately, the power nap just wasn't enough.
Yeah, this Zoroark is already looking pretty scary. Level 8 already here, but maybe getting a little too aggressive. Trevenant is going to go down to Cinderace. Definitely not the Pokemon you want experience on. And meanwhile, you can see Flaming Hot Depressos pushing advantage here. I think Zoroark is going to just clean up those birds for themselves. And meanwhile, top and bottom birds are going to spawn. Cinderace is going to still try to clean up the farm. Try to get to that level 9 at least before this first objective fight. Elo Poppy maybe struggling a little bit here. Just hitting level 7. A little bit behind the Trevenant. But we do have the mobility from the Hoopa to reinforce this bottom side. I think maybe sending all members bottom soon. I can't imagine Hoopa wanting to stay too long top side by themselves when they could be supporting the rest of the team.
Oh, look, this flick on down, and Registeel is already shredded on up, and I guess that's the power of the Hyper Voice and the Cinderace combo there, plus Lucario. But Flamin' Hot Depressos, it seems like they have some momentum here for the bottom path, as long as they're able to output this damage. But Cinderace ends up getting dived on, was able to kite it. No, never mind, they end up getting slashed on down by that Zoroark, and now they're going to pop their Unite move, try to take care of the Sylveon as they're just going backwards and forth, but they weren't able to take it down after all of that.
Really great positioning from Zoroark as well, too, right? Just slashing through the Cinderace, but also moving past the Hyper Voice of the Sylveon, taking pretty much no damage in that engage as well. Just really great positioning overall. And you can see level 10 already, highest level Pokemon so far in the game. And I don't think Zoroark's has even been knocked out yet, actually. So just maintaining a lot of that experience and not giving any comeback experience. I mean, look at the scoreboard, 98-0. So no points so far for Flaming Hot Depressos. If you're Lucario, you definitely feel a little bit of that Depresso so far if you're trying to get your stacks going through. No stacks so far. Finally, we get 6 points, but it's going to be the bottom side, and it's going to be that Snorlax. Regieleki is going to be secured from Failing Scar, from that Zoroark, and I think they're going to try to potentially push here, but Lucario is going to secure the Elagos first.
Oh, you did have that Cinderace trying to dive away, but with Regieleki right behind them, do end up getting caught out in between that Trevenant there. Regieleki has managed to be shred down quite a fair bit, but you have Zoroark that does end up popping their Unite move, and because of the distraction, Regieleki is going to walk on through. Lucario can't really do much, otherwise that is a pretty hefty overcap of 37 for that tier 1 pad.
Wow, and we actually see Cinderace just kind of going 1v2, 1v3 there, just trying to make something happen. Able to secure one of the knockouts, so Mew is able to clean up right then and there. Meanwhile, Snorlax just trying to score some points, put the team on the board. A strong 10 points, all belong to the Snorlax so far. Meanwhile, we get another bottom Reggie going to the side of Flaming Hot Depressos, so definitely prioritizing these bottom Reggies, which definitely a solid strategy, especially because they're a little bit behind on levels. So one way to kind of stay in the game. I mean, honestly, the levels look pretty good outside that Zoroark having a lead. The rest of the side of Flaming Hot Depressos is able to stay pretty in line. So keeping the game still close. Meanwhile, this Elo Poppy's Lucario is still looking to cap some points, not able to do it. You can see the pressure from this Trevenant and Zoroark just holding down the top side defense on that tier 1 top pad. And here we see, Cinderace actually picked up a huge knockout on the Zoroark. That's a lot of catch-up XP for sure. And then now you see Cinderace just playing super aggressive now too, trying to make something happen. And yeah, taking out the Trevenant as well. This is where you're feeling good when you're Cinderace.
Yeah, it's at these levels where you actually start to see Cinderace shine. Earlier on, its basic attack speed isn't quite the greatest, but at level 13, you can just see the damage output coming out from it. Finally, Lucario able to empty out its pockets. However, there was no overcap up in that top path. We do have some Unite moves being popped on our Zorak 8. But to get some revenge here with a 2 KO streak, possibly looking for a third on this Hooper, but is able to juke them with the Phantom Force, has laid down the portal, and is going to make a safe escape as well.
Oh, this Hooper's moving around right here. I mean, I think they're going to give it this top Reggie Alecki, but that's fine. They could probably mount a solid defense on that tier 2 Go Zone, but Hooper just getting out there in time. Definitely got to feel good, especially against a mobile Pokemon like Zoroark. And meanwhile, we're getting a good view of a Magnemite there. I didn't even realize Magnemite even existed on this map, but there it is. And we do see the first cap from the Lucario. So feeling okay, right? Getting some points, like you said. No overdunk whatsoever, but the team being team players, letting Lucario score some points finally.
Yeah, 199 to 133. So the bridge has definitely closed up a little bit here. We do have another Regirock that has spawned down in that bottom path. Looks like to go towards a Failing Scud, considering Flaming Hot Depressors aren't going to bother contesting that at all. Instead, they're going to opt for some positioning in the tall grass.
Yeah, and I think they're going to take some, I guess, conservative position, maybe not too aggressive, because they recognize they're a little bit behind levels, trying to get maybe the Lucario to level 13 beforehand. Zoroark level 14 already, has only been taken out once. Oh, Hoopa Unbound coming out kind of quick. Maybe they're going for a rip strategy here at this point. So you see the block coming out for Snorlax too. Oh, unfortunately, not able to. The Mew is able to secure. Cinderace goes down as well. Can they break any shields? I don't know if they can even take out any of these Pokemon. Shields look pretty full at this point. You can see Sylveon and Snorlax just going to try to score what they can here. And because the timers are still, still a decent amount of time, over a minute 30 left, maybe could siege us up in the very end, but all these shields are still up on the side of Failing Scar.
10-second rip. I have no idea who even ripped that down. As we did see that Hooper getting distracted by the team. I thought they were distracted, but obviously not distracted enough. 699 to 335 because Snorlax was able to get in 22 points. There's still a minute left on the clock, so it's about, getting this push, hoping to get some points into that home base. We do have some little dunks going on in, but there's no Unite moves just yet for Flamin' Hot Depressors, as they do go in for a little bit of a reset through that Hooper portal, but trying to break through those shields is looking like to be a tough task here, Caleb.
Yeah, and they're going to have to win a fight here, I feel like, because I don't think they're even holding up enough points to possibly score this. So they need to knock out at least some of the Pokemon on the side of Failing Scar to even have the points to cap here. But none of Failing Scar is going down at this moment in time. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Hoopa is going to go down for Flaming Hot Depressors. Cinderace does as well. You can see Snorlax doing everything they can to score points. Sylveon goes down. Lucario goes down. There's a team wipe here. And we got the quad knockout from Mew, securing Rayquaza and also just wiping out the team for the side of Failing Scar. I feel like Mew doing a lot of work behind the scenes here. Zoroark in their face, but Mew actually doing quite a bit and able to secure the second game for Failing Scar and force a game number 3.
After all of that fighting in that bottom path, you still had members of Failing Scar that had sustained their shields. 699 to 349. We'll have a look at the recaps and the stats here. Zoroark was definitely on a roll. Doesn't need that pocket comfy. Instead, they had some great pockets from their defenders and supporter there. Able to pick up 10 KOs.
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, no comfort needed at all. 81k damage, I mean, as expected. Decent amount of damage from Tension's Cinderace, but just not enough. But yeah, it was really just a battle of the junglers, it seems like, as well. I mean, not able to put a lot of points on the board for Flaming Hot Depressors early on to mid-game, but I can only imagine what Elo Poppy would have been able to do if they were able to fully stack up in that game. Unfortunately, not really able to get that opportunity either.
No, I think they only ended up getting that one dunk, which is the 40 points, wasn't it? So
yeah,
leaving
I think it was 44
that until
in the end, so maybe 2 dunks max. But yeah, I don't know.
Definitely not ideal when you are a run back weight, but it took a while for tension to get online, but I think once, they started getting that momentum with the Cinderace, they were able to get some great picks, being able to bridge that gap, as we mentioned as well before. Otherwise, some, I guess, interesting plays here. Just the Zoroark and the Mew, the damage output from these two, paired up with, I guess, Trevenant and Mamo, you just couldn't break through these barriers. And obviously the team wipe there. The Shred, that was really interesting. The Rayquaza. I'm still unsure what ended up happening there, Caleb.
Yeah, I went down really quick. I mean, looking at the Pokemon both sides, I can see how that would happen. But that means we have exciting game 3 for y'all. We're going to take a quick break before we get into that one, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, to Unite Battle Hub's Elite Tour. We are here for the open qualifiers for the NA region. This is the second one. We already have Luminosity locking in a spot last week, but we have 3 teams. It's either out of Phalanx Guard, Flamin' Hot Depressos, and we have Exile waiting in the grand finals. But one apiece here, Caleb. Anything can happen. We're going to have to wait and see. We've had some spicy picks, some great gameplay so far, and I think we are in for some more action.
Yeah, and Flaming Hot Depressors was the team that came second to Luminosity, and they almost won that game 3 in the finals as well. So you know that they're itching for a chance at redemption. They're gonna have to go through Phalanx Guard first though before we get to the finals, and we're gonna see the Zeraora ban yet again. I mean. Tensions Zeraora must be pretty scary. And I believe it was they were under the name of Zerasian last week too. So I believe it's the same player, but if not, they just have a lot of Zeraora players, I guess, on their team.
Oh, but instead of going for the double Thunder Band this time round, they're going to take away that Hooper. Same bands here for Flamin' Hot Depressos, Leafeon, and Blastoise. Two Pokemon that are still really strong in the meta. Weren't actually here to buy the recent patch either. So I guess, nothing changes there. First pick, once again, we are seeing this Trevenant being picked up by Guard.
Yeah, Trevenant played pretty well for them last game, so I can see that. It's a really solid first pick for them again. We get the Slowbro counter pick with potentially a Blissey on the side. Yeah, so some support being picked up early. Maybe trying to save. I mean, given what Flamin' Hot Depressos play for their junglers and what they can play, I don't blame them for just picking that last because I don't think
Yes.
anyone else is going to prioritize potentially a Cinderace or something else like a Zeraora. Obviously, no Zeraora this time around. We get the Sylveon and the Eldegoss picked from Failing Guard as their second and third.
Yeah, taking the Sylveon away from Flamin' Hot Depressors there, it ended up being Kumba that actually played it the last round. So, looking to utilize it themselves, they actually have the same build as well. But speaking about spicy alas picks here, Caleb, we have two Flamin' Hot Pokemon, being that the Chandelure and the Talonflame.
Well, that is pretty on brand for sure. I feel like we haven't seen Chandelure in a hot second for some of these tournaments. Usually banned from the tournament due to some bugs, but it is back in action. And then we actually see the Urshifu and the Crustle again. We saw Crustle earlier in the previous game, but the Urshifu is making its debut appearance. Oh, I mean, if you pick Cinderace on top of this, I mean, that's a lot of fire for the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos. You can see they're hovering it, talking it through. Do they go for it? They commit to it. I love it. Double down on the Cinderace and say, you know what? We're going to, live or die by the Cinderace, I guess. So, pretty on brand for this final game. I mean, Flamin' Hot Depressos always running some spicy picks, but this time, Triple Fire, Talonflame, Cinderace, Chandelure. I don't even know how it's going to go. Let's just see how it plays out. But I think this is going to be some pretty exciting games overall. Flamin' Hot Depressos definitely struggling a little bit in the early to mid game against Failing Guard in these first two games. Let's see if they're able to get more of an earlier advantage with this team composition set.
Well, one benefit is no one on Flamin' Hot Depressos has any stacking items. There's actually no stacking items on either side here. So I think early game, we're going to see a little bit more of a passive match, just making sure to secure those wild Pokemon instead of needing to int for your stacks.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't even know if Flamin' Hot Depressos were even into for stacks. They just couldn't even touch the goal zones, right? Especially with the Trevenant guarding it. I mean, that's one tough goalie to get past. But we're gonna have to see if this composition works or not. There's a lot of damage on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos between the Chandelure, the Talonflame, and the Cinderace. Whether the team can synergize around these kind of spicier picks, we're gonna have to see.
I guess the trade-off is, yes, you do have some great damage coming from Flamin' Hot Depressos, but looking at them, they are quite squishy. So being picked off, if this does end up being a wicked blow, a Shifu, that is one punch you do not want to be in front of, especially as those squishier type Pokemon. Definitely going to be a harder front line to break through that Crustle and the Trevenant once they do end up getting online. But here we go, Caleb. Game 3 for Guard versus Flamin' Hot Depressos. The winner of this match will end up going up against Exile in the grand finals.
Yeah, a lot on the line here too, right? Guaranteeing a potential spot in that finals. But we're gonna have to wait and see how that goes. We see Fletchinder actually on the top side here, and makes a lot of sense too. Honestly, especially if this is a Trevenant back on the top side, you have a lot more mobility as a Talonflame, so scoring points will be a little bit easier. And you can see points already on the board for the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos. Phantom was a little bit slow on the rotation, maybe just trying to grab some farm. I'm actually not sure. Meanwhile, you do see the red buff on the Gospel as well, just really slowing down Flamin' Hot Depressos' scoring potential on this top lane.
One thing I am quite worried about for Flame Hunter Pressos is they have 3 late scalers. Having those 3 evolution Pokemon, being Cinderace, Talonflame, and Chandelure, like the early game is going to be quite tough for them, especially considering you already have a fully evolved Urshifu here. It has opted for that dark build, so having that Wicked Blow. As we suspected, I feel like the Water Bear just still isn't as viable as it once used to be. Otherwise, just going to pick up those side bowl toys before heading back up to this top path. I mean, Flaming Hot Depressors, in consideration of their levels right now, they do have that higher level, having already that level 5 Fletchinder. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I get the middle evolutions confused quite often. Wicked Blow definitely, I think, is a solid choice too, especially when you're looking at the side of Flame Hot Depressors. They already tried to rip the Rayquaza in the second game, but between the Talonflame and the Cinderace, they really have a lot of secure potential. So just kind of counteracting that way, I think is a solid choice. But looks like Flame Hot Depressors is getting most of the middle burst, and now we have a Cinderace completely evolved now. Fletchinder securing the knockout on the Eldegoss because he's trying to slow down the score, but Fletcher turns on the Sylveon, gets evolved as also in the Talonflame, and gets the 30 points off. 4 members on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressors playing super aggressive now on this top lane, and they're all going to get out alive so far, which is quite nice. I mean, this second game is already starting off on a different foot. 100 points already on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressors, and I feel like the real difference maker here is that first initial bird spawn on the top side did not result in 3 knockouts for Phalanx Guard. And so the Cinderace is not actually behind in this specific game. It's, in fact, actually ahead. Talonflame ahead as well. Level 9 already on Cinderace. 2 levels ahead of the Urshifu. I don't know what's going on, how they're so far ahead now, but now they are looking for a fight here at this bottom Regice.
Oh, but Phalanx Guard don't really want to take this fight. Instead, they just want to focus their power on that Regice, trusting in that Wicked Blow to get the last hit. Otherwise, Cinderace and the rest of the members are trying to take down the wall of the Crustal, but 3 members are here. Ready, 4 members, considering Trevenant has also joined, to go and defend this Tier 1 pad if needed, but Flamin' Hot Depressos are looking to just retreat.
Yeah, I think recognizing that this is a little bit too hard to push into with the Trevenant there, with the Sylvia on Hyper Voice, and then, of course, Crustle joining in as well. I think maybe the Cinderace was trying to secure that Regice with the Blazing Bicycle Kick Unite move, but honestly, one of the hardest Unite moves to aim in from my personal experience too, so I don't blame them if that's what they're going for. It looks like, okay, this is going to be a Fly Talonflame as well, so a lot more securing power for the side of Flaming Hot Depressors. They would just kind of fly past a lot of the Pokemon here. Urshifu kind of caught out a little bit, but no, not caught out at all. Actually catching a bird on their own, and now going for the Blissey. Blissey is going to come out for the Chandelure, but they are going to be taken out real quick. I think Cinderace content on just taking the Regieleki and just retreating and just going back to farming up the jungle.
Look, just doing what Cinderace does, right? Shredding those objectives. Securing that Regieleki on its own. It's going to keep Phalanx Guard preoccupied here as they do look to be pivoting down towards that bottom tier 1 pad. But you still have 2 members there looking to defend that. Whether they're going to be able to successfully break through the barriers there, we'll have to wait and see. But it looks like they have opted to retreat here, considering Cinderace is quite low HP, able to pick up both of those berries though.
Yeah, it looks like unsuccessful score attempt. I like the effort, though, for sure, because knowing that they're not actually going to try to push that Regieleki in, especially with the Trevenant and Urshifu on it, trying to get some value on the bottom side, or at the very least even set up for a good positioning for this Rip. I mean, again, they got the Rip potential here. They got the secure with the Fly Talonflame as well. I think this is going to be a pretty easy one, unless Urshifu somehow gets there in time. Oh, almost missed it. Actually does miss it with the Fly, but the Cinderace auto is going to secure it over the Crustle. And we see the Sylveon just waiting with the Hyper Voice here. Let's see if they can make something happen. Urshifu is going to come in here and start just chunking away at the health, but the telekinesis is going to slow down the potential there. Chandelure already goes down. You can see Cinderace trying to chew through the heavy defense of the Trevenant, but it's just too much bulk, I feel like, to cut through, even with Cinderace. They're trying to wear down this Urshifu. If you get the Urshifu down, that's going to be a lot of damage, but no, Urshifu gets out in time. And now comes the Talonflame diving in and secures the Urshifu and now gets out safely as well. So finally taking out the Urshifu and again avoiding a lot of that damage with the fly and Flame Sweep coming through, knocking them off the pad, but eventually getting knocked out themselves.
The combination there, having that Talonflame fly up into the air, and then Sylveon actually dodging that with the Fairy Frolic, then the Flame Sweep coming on out, pushing both of those members, but the Cotton Guard just saving both that Sylveon and the Eldegoss after all of that. Just a series of events there was really interesting to watch, but we are going to pivot to the middle section here as we have another brawl ensuing here. Talonflame ends up getting taken down once again, but Cinderace, just while they do have a lot of damage input coming from them, they're just not able to finalize these KOs.
Yeah, and looking like they're going to flank on top of this Urshifu. Can Urshifu make it out here or not? My gosh, completely just eviscerating this Cinderace. Trying to take one to go, but maybe getting out of there too, completely escaping with their lives there. 1 versus 3, able to take out the Cinderace and still make it out. Meanwhile, you see Fading Scar just breaking the bottom goal zone of Flamin' Hot Depressos. Definitely an overdunk of some value I actually didn't see here, but now they're going to get a Registeel potentially on top of it. It looks like Flamin' Hot Depressos not even going to contest it. All 5 of their members just sitting there at their tier 2 go zones, and we have about 30 seconds until the overtime period with that Rayquaza coming up soon.
I did say at the beginning, you do not want to be caught on the opposite end of that Urshifu fist, because that amount of damage that just came out from that Unite move, the squishy Pokemon are definitely going to have to be very wary going into this final stretch. But we do have all hands on deck, bar the Slowbro to go and shred down this Regieleki with 10 seconds left to go before Rayquaza does spawn. Hiding in that tall grass, another great Surf initiation from Yeti here, but they already shredded down to half HP. We're able to eject on out, and now they are going to get some much needed eggs from this Blissey to replenish that HP pool.
And I think Flamin' Hot Depressed was counting on the fact that Phalanx Guard is probably not going to try to rip this Rayquaza. Gets the points down with the Regieleki and bonus points for the Talonflame. You can see Cinderace trying to chunk through. They're isolating the Urshifu. Urshifu has nowhere to go. It's just fighting the Slowbro. You don't want to do that, but is going to knock out the Talonflame. Meanwhile, you see Cinderace just chewing through the HP of every one the other Pokemon outside Phalanx Guard. You see Urshifu has to reset at this point in time. Trevenant putting up a fight for sure, but the Cinderace is just popping off, just throwing all the autos here. Great Rock Tomb from the Crustle is going to catch the Cinderace, is going to catch him away, trying to Flame Charge away, but no, Urshifu is back and ready to punch through the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos, but some of them are coming back up on respawn as well.
Oh, but having 3 members here looks like they're going to try and secure this Rayquaza, considering it's 196 to 228 points. Flamin' Hot Depressors are going to go in for a re-engage, able to pick off that Eldegoss, but it ends up being the Talonflame that gets the last secure for that Rayquaza. 2 members of Flaminx Guard are currently down, but you do have Blissey and Chandelure needing to break through this front line, but it doesn't matter as you do have 2 Dunks going into that home base. Blissey retreating on back in that tall grass and is still able to sustain that shield.
Right, and we get the defense here as well on this bottom tier 2 gold zone. A huge secure from this Talonflame to just get that one. And I think it was Elo Poppy that actually was the one to do it here. And it looks like Flamin' Hot Depressed was able to hold on here in the very end after the Rayquaza secure and win game number 3, making their way back to a finals at an NA Elite Tour for another chance to qualify for the finals.
I feel like Flamin' Hot Depressos need to drop that Depressos at the end because they must be feeling ecstatic getting that win and now progressing into the grand finals. They are looking flamin' hot with that comp.
Yeah, a huge shout out to Elo Poppy for that secure as well, but a lot of damage from Tension as well, and just, you know, the support from the Yeti on the Slowbro. I mean, you know, not much of a front line for this team, so you kind of have to tank all the damage yourself. Blissey taking quite a bit of damage as well. A lot of damage from Chimmy's Urshifu, but just not enough. Actually, almost 100k damage from the Cinderace. I mean, just that damage kind of sneaks up on you. I mean, against two defenders, you could definitely see how that adds up pretty quickly. But yeah, a big game from Flaming Hot Depressos. Going down game 2, running the Cinderace, but you know what? Just running it back and trusting in the Cinderace. I mean, I don't know if this is Cinderace meta, but it is if you have tension playing it. And yeah, this was quite the back and forth game. Urshifu looked pretty strong against this whole composition, but the damage just kept flowing from Flaming Hot Depressos, and they were able to secure that win.
I guess the brilliance is they did have that maneuverability from the fly, but also the blazing kick and flame charge from the Cinderace as well. So being able to dodge and weave, like during this moment here, you had the Bliss Assistants going onto the Cinderace and they were just trying to shred them to pieces. And I know there was a great dodge at one moment here as well, trying to get away from that Urshifu. They did end up eventually getting taken down, but the trusty Talonflame Fly just landing in from above, securing themselves some shields, and just taking away that win condition from Failing Scarred.
Yeah, fantastic performance from Flamin' Hot Depressos. They will be facing off against Exile in the finals. We're going to take a quick break before we see that matchup, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Unite Battle Hub Elite Tour. We are in the NA tournament, the second one of the qualifiers. And the team that takes it all today will qualify for the playoffs later this month. We are in the finals. It's going to be Flamin' Hot the Pretzels with their spicy team compositions versus Exile in this finals. Best of three. I mean, we just came off of a Cinderace, Chandelure Talonflame game, and Flamin' Hot the Pretzels won with that composition. So I don't even know what to expect for this next one, Kello.
Maybe a Zeraora if it doesn't end up getting banned, but we'll have to wait and see whether Exile think that is too much of a threat, considering it has 100% ban rate, which is very unusual for a tournament.
Yeah, that is a true respect ban if I've ever seen one. Let's see if Exile is going to actually respect that or not. I feel like some teams are even just curious to be like, is it really that good? And that's actually what Luminosity did last week in game number 3. And Flamin' Hot the Pretzels were pretty much up all game until the very end. So they are about to win it until like the last like 10 seconds. So the Zeraora definitely was no myth for the side of Flamin' Hot the Pretzels. And I think it was Tetchin that was actually playing that Zeraora. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how it goes. I mean, I feel like Flamin' Hot the Pretzels, they play, the weirder the team they play, the better they play. Like the more meta their team composition is, the more they kind of struggle throughout the early to mid game. So going to see if they just go all out or not in this first game, or maybe play a little bit safe.
Sometimes if you got to think outside the box, catch your opponents on their toes, because they might just be weirded out as much as we are and are just unsure how to deal with it. But
Yeah.
for those folks that are new here to this format, Elite Tour, this is the first month of it. The way that it works, it is a month-long tournament. So we have 2 open qualifiers for each region, NA and EU. We've already had the the one for NA, which was Luminosity, who have locked in their spot for the main event. And we also have Nouns Esports for the EU region. Now, this is our second open qualifier, so whoever ends up winning this one here today will also lock in their spot. But the brilliant thing about this Elite Tour, Caleb, is we have a last chance qualifier, and instead of just one spot, we actually have 2 spots from that. And at the end, the main event, we're actually going to see NA and EU go up against each other and have a go at a prize pool of $500.
That's right. So actually, I believe there's actually 4 spots for the last chance qualifier. So even better. So if you don't make it from the first 2 NA or EU qualifiers, you have another shot on the 21st. But of course, you know, a lot of other teams might be scrambling for that as well. So if you have a chance, well, I guess if you're an EU team, you have another chance on the EU qualifier in 2 days. But outside of that, everyone else definitely pile in to that last chance qualifier. And yeah, the main event, we'll talk more about this later too, but it will be a switch stage as well. And then we'll have some playoffs that will be single elimination. So going to be very exciting stuff, a very exciting packed month of Pokemon Unite, especially grassroots Pokemon Unite for a lot of teams. I want to get some extra reps in before they take on UCS or head on over to another one. But yeah, we've seen the team of Flamin' Hot Depressos already. We could briefly go over the roster of Exile as we wait for them to load into their game. But we got Freak, Eggnoob, Kusi, Neon, and Oblivion. So some definitely recognizable names for many players that are on the scene. Definitely probably the favor to win here. But Flamin' Hot Depressos almost beat Luminosity last week, so definitely don't count them out.
Yes, well, we didn't see Exile play last week, so this is, I guess, their first chance at participating in the Elite Tour. So we're unsure of what they're going to bring. They did end up participating in the open brackets for the AOS Cup. So I can't remember off the top of my head if they ended up making the top 8 or not. Even though that was only a couple of weeks of there, you were there just telling me before that you were participating yourself in one of the other titles. So time flies. We have the April Cup this weekend.
Yes, it does. And my brain is still like scrambled from the jet lag, so I cannot recall either. But here we go. We are going into the ban phase, and we have a Slowbro ban from Exile to start things off. So Zeraora still on the table. And for those that are just joining, why does Zeraora even matter? Well, I wouldn't say we have a one trick on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos because they definitely play some other Pokemon quite well, but we do have a Zeraora expert and one that. Oh no, okay, we get the Zeraora ban. So no, we're not going to see it this first game, I guess.
No, not at all. I'd say they're probably going to end up picking that Leafeon as their last ban if patterns do end up following from the previous matches. But there we go. 4 bans locked in. Slowbro, Zeraora, Blastoise, and Leafeon. Now, we've had Crustle being picked up first pick, Trevenant being picked up first pick, but looks like Exile are going to lock in the eggs, the Blissey.
Yeah, we get the Blissey first pick, Yeti picking up potentially the Snorlax, and then we're going to get the Hoopa as well. Both picks we've seen Flamin' Hot Depressos perform quite well with earlier on. Let's see how they want to lock this in. No, they actually go with the Espeon instead. One thing to note is Cinderace is still on the table, and we've seen Cinderace in 2 out of the past 3 games from Flamin' Hot Depressos, so definitely something that they might pick up. But again, something that's not really a priority pick probably for Exile, so they could just save it for at the very end or just surprise him by counterpicking something else. Oblivion actually picking up the Machamp here. Machamp did get a slight buff this recent patch to his stats and also to submission, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to see how that Machamp looks. Meanwhile, Elo Poppy picking up the signature Pikachu. We got Trevenant as well picked up, and yeah, first lappers I've seen in a hot second as well. We got Gengar picked up. Whoa.
Ooh,
okay,
I love this.
Yeah,
I
this is
love
gonna be
these spicy
interesting.
picks.
Yeah, I mean, Cinderace is not going to enjoy Gengar in their face either, so we're going to see how that plays out. And is that going to be a Meowscarada? A Meowscarada and Gengar. Okay. Well, that is a choice here. Let's see how Tetsun plays around this or not. But yeah, all Pokemon
Oh.
are eligible outside the EX Pokemon, of course. Oh, and we see a Serena. Okay. Uh, I don't know what's going on anymore, but we'll see how this goes. Serena definitely one of the Pokemon that could just go toe to toe against pretty much everything on the side of Exile. So definitely has a good time in those 1v1 isolation situations. Maybe that's why they decided to pick it, but I like it. Let's see how this goes. I like the spice from both teams, and let's have some fun in this one.
Double speedsters. I always find this really interesting. They can either speed their way through these matches or end up crumbling because, your speedsters, yes, they do have that high damage output, but they're incredibly squishy. And as you mentioned, having that Zarina on the opposite side, it could be really hit or miss here. I feel like Zarina in this current meta, you don't really see it very often. I feel like in terms of the all-rounder pool, it's kind of mid. I wouldn't say it's really at the bottom there, but this might just be another one of Tetsun's secret sauce. I mean, we have the Zeraora, the Cinderace, so you can really tell that they love these off-meta picks for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I think typically speaking, you probably see a Buzzwole more in that pick, but this might be a Serena jungle, so playing it a little bit differently because Tetsun definitely usually is their jungler in that role. But Buzzwole got a slight nerf. I think Buzzwole probably still a little better overall, but you never know. I mean, hey, I didn't think Cinderace would make any impact here, but Tetsun proved us wrong there. So Serena again playing that kind of isolation 1v1 role quite well, just like Buzzwole would. So let's see how it goes. But yeah, it is going to be a Serena jungle, and it's going to be a Machop jungle as well. So both all-rounders kind of just starting out in the jungle side, not on the top lane side as we expect. Actually, kind of interesting because I would expect the Ghastly to be in the jungle.
Yeah, that's wild to me, sending both of those speedsters into each of those lanes. We do have Kirby here going for a little bit of an invade, looking to take that blue buff, but they ended up getting out secured by that Machop.
And we see Phantom doing what they can to just get back to safety there. Agnew's Lapras definitely causing ruckus as well. Meanwhile, we got Machoke rotating down, not even full health. Oh, can you catch a Koopa? No, just gets out in time. Kind of wild to even check that bush area in general. Kind of went the long way. But submission is going to be Machoke's choice here, but actually goes down to the Espeon. Meanwhile, I think there was a knockout on the top side as well. Espeon with the 2 knockout streaks. Ghastly's not going to have a great time until it's evolved for sure. Agnew doing what they can to try to hold off here. But you see Tension's actually Serena coming all the way back to this bottom side after a top lane gank. And so far, Flaming Hot Depressal is looking pretty on fire in the early game.
Yeah, well, you still have that Ghastly that hasn't yet evolved, needing to try and lock down some wild Pokemon. You have Kerpri just being an absolute nuisance, able to get out of Perish Song just in time, making it back to base and not giving them that KO. Otherwise, we have reached that second evolution stage, still not at its full potential just yet as a Haunter, but just gonna be a little bit of a nuisance towards this Trevenant. Looking to dunk, but they do have 19 points with Espeon coming down here, getting the stun. How Haunter were able to use their Dream Eater there to make it out of that. But still get knocked out nonetheless.
Yeah, still goes down to Trevenant. But yeah, the burst damage from this Espeon is a little unreal. Submission already coming in handy. I mean, I like the submission play just for the hyperspace hole. And, really, really precarious situation to even drop the hyperspace hole sometimes around this Machoke. But maybe just waiting right for cooldown to go in. So good timing from the side of Flaming Hot Depressos here. The skirmish back and forth is pretty nuts, though. Submission is putting in the work, and Serena is going to go down to the Meowscarada. So kind of trading back and forth. Now the both jungle buffs are going to be on Meowscarada, so making this defense a little bit harder than it probably usually would be. But Trevenant and the Hoopa probably going to be able to hold this off pretty easily.
Yeah, they do have the hyperspace hole there in case they do need to retreat, but we do have Registeel that is just below half HP. Eggnoob is trying to fight a 1v2 against Flamin' Hot Depressos. Pikachu was able to lock it down with that Electro Ball, and that is going to give them some levels. You have Zarina already having their Unite move on hand in case they do need to use it here against the Blissey and the Meowscarada, but instead they're going to X-Speed away back onto Pad, and Zarina was just going to poke the bear, being that the Regieleki.
Yeah, Dropkick Stomp combo, and here comes the Queen Ascent, and taking out the Blissey, taking out, oh my gosh, taking out the Meowscarada, almost getting a triple, but no, the Machamp Unite move from Oblivion is going to secure the Serena, but that came pretty close. Serena's still the highest level on the map so far, just joined by Machamp and Espeon as well.
Look, 2 pickups versus 1. I think that was a pretty great trade for Zarina, but Machamp being able to clean them up. Otherwise, they did end up having to utilize their Unite move. Pikachu did end up using theirs as we just speak, not able to take down Meowscarada. But this submission Machamp, the displacement from it, as we mentioned, submission is not a move that we have seen, only picking up those recent buffs. And it's actually looking pretty good so far.
It is, but the CC from the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos is also no joke either. I mean, Volt Tackle Pikachu's been such a huge nuisance for the side of Exile too, just like picking up the Lapras, the Machamp as well. Here we see the Gengar Unite coming in, but the combo disrupted from the Volt Tackle and Queen Ascendant as well, and then the Stomp to secure it too. Just so much disruption on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos. It's hard to get anything going on the side of Exile. Just, you know, just so much interruption coming out. And here we see they are gathering for this bottom objective. Dropkick Stomp coming in aggressively from the side of tension here and able to potentially get out. No, actually going down to Meowscarada Unite move as well. And now the tables have turned, as you can say. Exile diving in here, and Espeon going down, but so is the Meowscarada as well. A lot of damage coming through all the way throughout, but it looks like Pikachu by them lonesome and does not get out in time. Trevenant, I think, no, Trevenant didn't get out either. It's just the Hooper.
Regirock just on their own team, being able to take out of lair those rocks on both members there. Is Zarina trying to make a move, does quickly get shut down. Hooper did end up making back through the portal, does end up popping back through, but they are going to quickly get wiped out as Regirock is now at a quarter HP. Trevenant has joined the fray once again, is going to get a Horn Leech onto that Lapras and a Wood Hammer to push them together, but they weren't able to get the last hit against that Gengar.
Yeah, this bottom fight is taking a hot second too, and you can see Machamp Unite is going to come through. They do finish off the Trevenant as well. Gengar they were funneling a lot of KOs to that Gengar for a hot minute there too, and just the combos were just way too much. I think this Gengar you kind of had to take out by committee unless you're the Serena as well. Just not enough. You do not want to fight that Gengar in isolation, or if you're by yourself versus 3 other members aside of Exile. Regieleki is going to spawn on the top side. Positioning is looking pretty good for Flamin' Hot Depresso so far. I think potentially Exile might just give this one up to set up a defense on that tier 2 go zone.
As we do have a minute left until that final stretch, 182 to 187. So a very close match, not only in points, but also in levels. We do have an attempt to push down in the bottom path. 23 points does end up going in from the Machamp, but you have them paying the price as both Meowscarada and Machamp get knocked out.
Unfortunately, not getting too much value there. I think they took out one Pokemon on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos, but losing both the Machamp and the Meowscarada is going to be costly, both level 13. So a lot of experience going back over to the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos. You can see they're just content on just burning down this Regieleki, maybe get their final levels as we are ticking down about 20 seconds to that Rayquaza. Aggressive positioning from Flamin' Hot Depressos. Let's see if they catch the Lapras off guard. They do. I mean, Lapras is pretty bulky, but it is going to get shredded by the side of Flamin' Hot Depressos. The combos from Espeon too strong. Oh, and now trying to catch the Meowscarada. Queen Ascendant maybe coming out. No, not quite. Maybe going to hold on to it too. Submission is going to pull the Serena outside of the hyperspace. So Meowscarada does go down to Queen Ascendant, but Serena also going down to the Machamp Unite as well. And yeah, a couple members down on both sides. They really just want to wait for the Serena to come back up, but still a lot of damage on the side of Flaming Hot Depressors even without the Serena.
Interesting play here from Oblivion on the Machamp, getting in 42 points. They do have 3 Unite moves still on hand for Exile. Otherwise, the Hooper Unite move is still available for Flamin' Hot Depressors as well.
Yeah, and Egg Noob on the Lapras just barely getting out, taking a lot of damage, and now they're going to punish Flamin' Hot Depressos. Hoopa Unbound form is coming up, but they're kind of running for their lives at the moment in time. Serena trying to do what they can, getting a lot of sustain, but no, Serena does go down. So does the Hoopa as well. Double knockout on the side of the Gengar. Shrevna goes down as well, a complete team wipe, and they get the Rayquaza with all 5 members still up as well. This is full pockets with Rayquaza shields. This is not something you want to face. Maybe not actually full pockets, which actually leads to a bigger overdunk as well on this tier 2 goal zone for the side of Exile. And this one is looking like it's going to be over.
Yeah, it's looking to be in the bag of Exile, 627 to 187 points. Only 30 seconds left on the clock, and Flamin' Hot Depressos have recognized this themselves, going to just wave that white flag.
And we do see the surrender from Flamin' Hot Depressos. Looking a little tough to make a comeback on that one. Honestly, that game looked fairly even throughout, back and forth. It was really that Rayquaza fight. Things got a little right. Things looked good for Flamin' Hot Depressos at first, right? Just picked off the Lapras. Pretty much didn't really have to spend anything for the cost of it. Almost got the Meowscarada, but the Meowscarada was a little bit finicky, a little bit hard to secure. And in the meantime, Tetson's Serena took a lot of damage in the process and was also taken out. And once the Serena was down, it was a lot easier for Exile to find the opening they needed, score some points, maintain position in the Rayquaza pit until everyone's back up, and yeah, from there it just kind of snowballed from there. Zero EX actually taking the MVP there. Curious to see how the damage goes, but Kamba actually getting 13 knockouts by themselves on the Espeon. That Espeon was definitely taking some numbers.
Yeah, the Psyshock stuns followed up by the stuns from Pikachu and Zarina as well. In terms of the damage, Flamin' Hot Depressos having that 84, 71, and 74, like they did have that damage output, but it obviously just ended up coming down to that final fight. I guess that's the thing, having those speedsters on the side of Exile, having that massive burst damage, but also the displacement from a submission Machamp. I'm really glad that we actually get to see it shine in today's tournament. As we mentioned previously, it just received that buff. Just the Unite moves there, and Oblivion just like, nope, I'm just finish this off with my Unite move myself.
Yeah, did not want to go down to that Serena 1v3. That's the pride itself was not worth it, but definitely not for the XP for the Serena. On top of that, I mean, I think the submission Machamp actually played pretty useful overall, right? Really just disrupting, particularly the Serena as well. If you just let the Serena just stomp and drop kick through you, Queen Ascendant, it's just like a huge pain. But you can see here too, yeah, the submission pulling it almost throwing the Serena back into the hyperspace hole, but the timing was just a little bit too perfect, I think, to prevent the hyperspace hole recall there. And you can see Serena doing what they can here, but at this point in time, just a little bit outnumbered. And this Gengar pick too, kind of wild, but I would say probably worked out for the most part for Exile. I mean, just playing as a speedster, maybe just replacing a potential Leafeon in that situation.
Well, I guess Leafeon being banned there, so not able to pick that up. Still one of the strongest speedsters in that meta, but it just goes to show that the other speedsters do have a light shining on them as well. But interestingly enough, if we just drag it back to that final stretch, we mentioned the submission Machamp dragging that Zarina backwards and almost landing in that hyperspace hole. I believe it was Neon's Egg Bomb that ended up preventing them from going back through the portal. So that was actually massive, a massive pick, very well timed from Neon and the Egg Bombs. And I guess, the innocent Blissey there, while it is providing the heals for their team, the disruption that Egg Bomb can provide, especially up against a hyperspace Hooper, can actually be huge.
Yeah, I think Exile was pretty on top of just disrupting the recalls with the hyperspace holes from the side of Flaming Hot Depresso. So definitely was very intentional with their egg bombs, their submissions as well, and just their team composition in general. Gengar was kind of a little bit of a wild pick, but I think it fit the kind of, the bot lane attacker speedster role that they're looking for, which makes a lot of sense why they had Ghastly in lane instead of in the jungle.
Yeah, and I think it's being able to get those picks, isolate them out, and then just cleaning on up, getting that team wipe. But we do still have another round between these two teams. So if Exile do end up winning this next round, then they would have locked in their spot for the main event. But will we see ourselves another round 3 situation? We've already had one today, Caleb.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're going to take a quick break before we get back into the games in this finals. Or maybe no break. I don't know.
And we are back here for the Unite Battle Hub's Elite Tour. Exile versus Flamin' Hot Depressos in the Grand Finals. I'm Kellosaurus, and joining me today, we do have Caleb. We've seen some really interesting picks coming out from Flamin' Hot Depressos. I'm wondering if we're going to end up seeing that Cinderace come on out once again.
Potentially, Cinderace does have a 50% win rate on the day, which is 50% more than I would expect in today's meta. We saw some interesting picks from Exile as well. I mean, Gengar. We've seen the newly improved submission Machamp in the jungle as well. So I love that both teams are, taking a few risks here in the finals, trying out some different team compositions. First time I've seen a lane Gengar in a hot minute for competitive Unite. And Gengar's been one of the Pokemon's been out since the very beginning. Ooh, the double grass bands. We see the Meowscarada and Leafeon ban from the side Flaming Hot Depressos. Maybe a little respect ban to that Meowscarada from last game. And we get the Mime and Blissey ban, which means Zerora has got to make an appearance, right? In this pivotal game number 2 for Flaming Hot Depressos.
The Mr. Mime pick is definitely left field here. We haven't seen any Mr. Mimes here, so whether that was intentional, but we do have Eggnoob picking up Slowbro as their first pick. Yeti and Kepri going to make sure to lock in the defenders. Blastoise also being available. This is actually massive. We haven't seen Blastoise out on the field just yet, as so far it has had that 100% ban rate.
Yeah, it has. So we finally get that unlocked as well in this game. I mean, a lot of yeah. So Blastoise and Zeraora has been 100% ban rate so far. Everything else, maybe the Leafeon as well is the only
Mm.
other thing so far. We get Egg
Nope.
Noob and we get the Slowbro, the Umbreon, the Trevenant was a triple defender comp so far. I mean, if they go quintuple defender composition, then I know both teams just agreed to just have fun at this point. And we get the Delphox pick. I believe this will probably be a attacker Delphox. Well, actually, I don't know. There's a Sylveon ready too. I actually don't know where this draft is going at this point. I mean, we saw a Talonflame Chandelure team earlier, so I wouldn't really put anything past Flaming Hot Depressos. And Talonflame actually picked out from Exile, and of course, we get the Zeraora finally. We get to see it in action and see what Tension has in store and why so many people have been target banning this Aurora so far in this tournament until now.
There was absolutely no delay on that. Tetchin knew from the get-go, Zeraora is going to be mine. 3 defenders on the side of Exile. Now, I'm wondering whether Neon is going to be playing more of that supporter role, which did end up receiving a buff itself. So going to be providing those heals along with Foul Play as well, getting that buff. So I'm definitely going to be keeping my eyes on this Umbreon. However, Delphox is another Flamin' Hot Pokemon that we haven't seen just yet. I really feel like Flamin' Hot Depressos really wants to showcase these Fire-type Pokemon.
Yeah, really showing the deep versatility they have in many of the Pokemon, especially the fire ones too. Looks like it's going to be attacker, bot lane, Delphox, if I were to guess. And yeah, Zeraora definitely in the jungle for sure. The team of Exile does look quite interesting. I mean, they have a pretty bulky, scary front line. And even with the Talonflame weaving in and out, that Inteleon should be pretty free to just snipe away from the back end. I mean, maybe potentially even some liquidation from afar. But if that Inteleon goes down, then you know Flamin' Hot Depressos are doing something right, because it's going to take a lot to get to that Inteleon in most of these team fights.
Yeah, just that bulky front line is going to prove to be hard unless they can shred it down. I'd say we're probably going to end up seeing a Hyper Voice Sylveon here, but we are going to send that Sobble into that central area, and we're going to have a bit of a split central area from Flamin' Hot Depressos with Sylveon and Delphox or Fennekin going and taking that out, and it actually ends up being Zera up in the top path here, looking to take down this Umbreon really earlier on, which means Sylveon is able to get in their 12 points, and you have a Hooper joining them as well. So great early push so far. 15 to 12, you know, early days, being able to actually no stacks on the side of Flamin' Hot Depression.
Yeah, and this Zeraora is already looking like it's going to be a problem for the side of Exile. Just aggressively pushing that top tier 1 gold zone for on the side of Exile. But yeah, like you said, splitting the buffs here. I like to play as well. Don't need nearly as much experience to evolve this Sylveon. Let's see how aggressive they go. And the instant actually taking out the Hoopa actually, but Phantom is going to go down afterward. Let's see how aggressive Tension is. Oh, and just taking out the Drizzile. And now try and take out the Umbreon on their pad. It is going to be Mean Look Umbreon. Can you survive the sustain? And no, Zeraora getting maybe a little too greedy, but obviously you couldn't really even get out of the Mean Look. But Umbreon is going to go down. A lot of action on this top side already. Phantom trying to do what they can here in this situation. Does have a decent amount of sustain to survive the Sylveon. Looks like Koopa is going to go for Invade instead on the side, but not successful. Inteleon is going to be fully evolved at this point in time, and a great stun actually from the Hoopa to get out there safely.
Yeah, some early aggression from both teams here. Just trying to defend their pad. We do have those Swabblers and Altaria getting swept on up real quick. Unsure who ended up getting those, but we still have that Flichinda that hasn't reached that final evolution stage. So definitely wants to try and get their levels ASAP. That way they can get their secondary movement. But we do have a rotation from Flamin' Hot Depressos thanks to that Hooper portal, and they are going to wipe out that Slowbro, one of those frontliners now down, giving an opening for Flamin' Hot Depressos to go and break this tier 1 pad.
And that snipe shot chunked over half of the health of that War Turtle. War Turtle trying to evolve as soon as they can to that Blastoise. Definitely be a lot more useful at that point in time. You see the caps are coming in from the Talonflame, and Snipe Shot just raining in from afar, and the damage is really adding up. I mean, the strategy is really sound from Exile because if you have a strong front line, you provide a lot of vision for this Inteleon to just provide Snipe Shot, just clear snipe shots and make it much easier to aim. Regirock is going to go down though for Flaming Hot Depressos, and I think they're just going to back off and maybe just start rotating towards the top side.
Yeah, but look at the aggression. Blastoise, Zeraora, they're going to dive on fourth, take down the Slowbro once again, and now they're going to go and dunk in tier 2, putting 22, 26, and another 9. Now at the lead at 153 to 37 points. We still have that Hooper that does have that hyperspace hole, but Flaming Hot Depressors are going to retreat on back. They're going to rotate up to the top and look at taking this next objective. Umbreon looking to dunk in 15 points, but does end up getting denied by the Mystical Fire from that Sylveon, and also going to get taken down as well.
And the chase down is starting out here. Regieleki is going down pretty quick. I think Exile at this point maybe not even going to try to contest. Inteleon goes down as well on the side of the map. Can the Fly Talonflame secure anything? No, not quite. And now the aggression is on for Flaming Hot Depressos, trying to break the goal zone before the Regieleki goes in. Unfortunately not able to. Still going to get a decent amount of points here on this top side. Zeraora, unfortunately, is going to be knocked out from the Umbreon, actually, as they buy some space for their teammates to score.
Oh, interestingly enough, we do have Sylveon that is at the highest level here. Talonflame gets taken down, and once again, Sylveon reaching level 11. There's 5 level 9s on the side of Exile, so a lot more evenly spread here, as Inteleon has just ticked on over, but you do have Sylveon taking away that blue buff just to hinder Exile even more.
Yeah, and we see Blastoise caught out a little bit here. Let's see the reinforcements going out. Huge Hydro Typhoon. Unfortunately, only knocks up 1 on the side of Exile. Zeraora, though, starting to shred through the Trevenant. Not an easy Pokemon to shred through, but able to do a fanciful Fireworks is coming through. Unfortunately, not enough damage to take out this Umbreon, and Inteleon position pretty strong over here. And you can see Sylveon trying to do whatever they can, but just look at how bulky this front line is. You just can't get through it. Unless you're getting on top of the Talonflame and Inteleon, you might as well just ignore the targets on the side of Exile and just find better ways to spend your damage.
That is actually a really unfortunate KO for the Sylveon there. Being able to give those levels over to Exile, that is not what you want, especially when you have such that level lead. We do have a Registeel that has spawned in the bottom path. Zeraora is looking to just solo it down, while the rest of them are going to try and zone and keep Exile away. Blastoise are trying to use their serves and the Hydro Pumps against that Slowbro. Umbreon wasn't able to make it on in, and now they are going to march on forth, look to get some more KOs. Inteleon, that backline is down, and with only the 2 defenders on pad, they're not going to push on forward. Instead, they're looking to just starve Exile once.
Yeah, and they are successfully able to get that blue buff onto that Blastoise. So really great stuff there. But now just caught in between an Umbreon and a hard Trevenant, I guess. And Trevenant comes in, sweeps in, unites here. But you see Flaming Hot Depressos going to rip down the objectives. I mean, Flaming Hot Depressos is always going to prioritize those objectives really quickly, get the experience needed, get the map pressure. And now Zeraora is going in there, is unfortunately going down to that Inteleon. And a huge Hydro Typhoon knocking up 2 on the side of Exile. And between the Blastoise and the Sylveon and Delphox, they're chasing them down and burning through. Triple knockout for the Sylveon so far, and going to try to cap 43 points. Very easy with that Regieleki going in on that tier 2 go zone.
But Delphox did end up falling to that Talonflame. Hyperspace Hole is going to send Hooper here to defend this pad if needed. But Talonflame ended up getting taken down in the meantime by that level 13 Sylveon. As we look at the levels, 2 level 13s on the side of Flaming Hot Depressos. Exile haven't reached that mark yet. There's still 50 seconds left on the clock. So definitely looking to get these wild Pokemon, get those levels, get those Unite moves back before heading into the final stretch. But overextending Tad does end up getting sent back to the Pokemon Center, but they'll be back quite shortly.
Blastoise can surf all they want. You're not going to surf past that mean look and not able to buff either, so it is going to just go down at that point in time. But the levels actually look pretty strong. This Sylveon actually has been doing a ton of work from Elo Poppy. I wouldn't be surprised if the damage is actually off the charts for this one, and is going to secure this Registeel right before the Rayquaza fight. Actually, that's a pretty big secure for the side of Exile. Level 13 on the Inteleon. Unfortunately, only level 12 on the Talonflame, but level 13 on the Trevenant as well. But the main damage is going to be coming from this Inteleon. So as long as they don't get picked off early, they should be in a pretty good spot. Meanwhile, speaking of getting picked off, Blastoise thought they were going to pick off the Blastoise, and no, Blastoise turns it back on them. Hydro Typhoon knocks up 2, surfing through. Trevenant Unite comes out, but doesn't catch too many members here. Blastoise does finally get sniped down from the Inteleon. And Delphox goes down as well. Meanwhile, they are trying to take out the Trevenant, but I don't know if you really want to focus the Trevenant with all your damage.
Wow, we have 3 members of Flamin' Hot Depressors getting of the Zeraora. It's only the Hooper left standing. They do end up hopping their Unite move to try and bring some members, but with all of them knocked down, nobody's going to end up popping through that portal. Besides, the Blastoise is able to get a Surf here, trying to just disrupt it and delay as much as possible, but Rayquaza is scarily low here, and it ends up going down to the snipe shot of the Inteleon, and now they're going to march on forward, try to make up the difference in points because they are currently behind, but these shields are going to be really difficult for a Hooper to try and break on their own.
And it's not going to happen on this bottom side for sure. Talonflame just shreds through the Hoopa. Still a shield as well. And another 74 goes in. Meanwhile, what is this? Another 98 as well. The points are starting to get a little bit out of control. Zeraora doing everything they can to slow them down, but the burst damage is still coming through. Luckily, they grabbed the points, but looks like Flamin' Hot Depressors is going to surrender in this second game against Exile. And Exile able to close it out on the backs of the Inteleon and that bulky front line and the Talonflame. And they are going to be the winners of this North America Elite Tour qualifier.
That does mean they're going to lock in their spot in the main event with Luminosity and Nouns Esports so far. 640 points to 394. Obviously, it ends up coming down to that final stretch, but we do need to see these stats and the highlights. I feel like there's a lot to break down during that final stretch as well, Caleb.
Yeah, there really was. I mean, again, like if you can't take out that Inteleon on the side of Exile, it's just going to just rain in the damage so quickly. Even against the Blastoise in his face, just the snipe shot just does so much damage in the process. I mean, you know, between Oblivion, Eggnoob, and Neon, like that was just disgustingly hard to get through. Kushi just weaving in and out as well on the Talonflame, and you know, with Zeraora being a little bit more on the frail side, as well as the Delphox, and even the Sylveon, it's just a little bit easier for them to take out the opponents. Elo Poppy, no surprise, MVP on the side of Flamin' Hot Depressors with a ton of damage as expected, 91k damage. Unfortunately, not enough damage to finish off the game, but you know, with 3 defenders on the side of Exile, expected to see that much damage at least.
Yeah, 100%. And here we go. Having a look at these highlights, you could see Flamin' Hot Depressors. They were aggressive from the get-go, being able to get early picks on that Umbreon up in that top path, being able to just constantly invade central area, take away their buffs, take away their experience from their wild Pokemon, being able to lock down objectives. Like everything was going to plan here. However, they did end up, I guess, getting exiled time and time again by Exile, getting those picks and isolated, as we can see in the highlights. But as I mentioned, it came down eventually to that final stretch. Now, before this moment here, you actually had the Zeraora and the Sylveon go and backcap. I definitely see the plays there, considering they do have that Hooper with the Rings Unbound to teleport them back. But 1 minute 30 mark, Hooper hasn't used their Unite move just yet, because their members ended up getting picked down. So I'm just wondering whether if Khepri ended up popping their Unite move a little bit earlier there to bring back Elo and Tetchin into that fight, maybe things could have gone a little bit differently and Exile wouldn't have been able to get those individual picks because they were so scattered. So I feel like that was kind of the moment where it all crumbled down, is because they saw 2 members out of position Exile just took that opportunity to sweep on in and clean up the crew.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, with your Blastoise going down so early in the fights, there's just not as much to tank some of that damage for Flaming Hot Depressos. Actually, looking back on their draft, I actually really like their pick, right? They picked 3 defenders and a Talonflame as well, too. Like 4 Pokemon that are pretty hard to lock down for the Zeraora. So even if Zeraora gets on top of the 1 defenders, you don't really do enough damage in a lot of situations. Just like, burst them down on like the squishier targets that you typically see on a lot of team compositions. So playing around that strategy and saying, you know what, we're going to pick a bulky front line and we're going to give you Zeraora, and you can see if you can outplay this or not, right? And so kind of setting Flaming Hot Depressos up maybe for failure there by, picking a strong team into it and just baiting attention into picking up the Zeraora. I think the Zeraora still played great, but didn't have maybe the same effect as it would against a more squishy composition.
Yes, but nonetheless, while it was a short day here at Unite Battle Hub, it was a fun day nonetheless, so I do hope everybody that did tune in had a ton of fun. Thanks to these teams for signing on up, but there is still a chance to sign up yourselves. Next up, we do have the EU qualifier on the 18th, 6 p.m. BST, 7 p.m. CEST. So if you are from the EU region and want to have a chance at qualifying besides the last chance qualifiers, then make sure to sign on up. Of course, there is that 500 prize pool if you do end up making it to the main event on the 27th of April. So lots of action still to come for the month of April.
That's right. So if you're in the EU region watching, make sure you sign up for that qualifier in 2 days. And for everyone else, you have that last chance qualifier. Of course, we have the April Open as well, for OCE on the 23rd. So another tournament to look out for, especially in the Oceania region. But yeah, that does it pretty much for us. Big congratulations for Exile for securing that qualification for the main event for later this month. But if you're Flaming Hot Depressos or any other team still looking to qualify, there's still that last chance qualifier. And like we said earlier, there's 4 spots for that one. So might be a lot of teams at that last chance qualifier, but gotta beat the best to beat the best, right?
Yes, exactly. But big shout outs before we wrap on up. Thank you, Caleb, for being an amazing casting partner here. Speed Lemon on the cams, Sunder Lad over on production side, and of course our wonderful mods in chat as well. And you know what? We wouldn't be able to do this without the audience, so thank you everyone for tuning on in. I guess that is going to wrap us up for today. So once again, a big thanks, and we'll see you during the next one. That is going to be us signing out. !socials if you do want to keep up with all the Unite Battle Hub action.